Hello, today I'm going to take you through a quick tutorial of how to add slide lock behavior to a mod in Fallout 4. So first you'll need tactical reload, and for tactical reload you'll need 1.3 or 1.4, and for the testing file there's slide lock test. So if you download one of those two versions and the example, you can use the files from that to put everything together. This is a gun I'll be putting together today, and it'll just be a basic sort of putting it together. It won't be too advanced with collision or anything. I'll just be doing it really, really quickly, just to give a bit of an overview of how I would put it together. It may not be the best way, but it's a way that works. So I've already got it downloaded. I've got the FBX here and the textures here. I've already done all the textures, I've done the materials, everything like that. I'll just be doing the mesh side of it for this. So if you go into 3ds Max, I'm using 2013, and you import that FBX, it won't actually work. It will just show blank. That's because it's in a newer version. So what I'll do is I'll go into Maya 2022, and I'll do the same thing, and that should work. Let me just go here. And there we go. That's worked. So now I'll export that into a version for 2013. So I'm exporting as FBX. My FBX format is 2013. So if I just give it any old name, go to desktop, and now when I come to import it, that all comes through. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import an existing gun and rig it to that. So I'm going to use the one from the test which I've already imported. So I'll probably go to my message folder and take that main receiver file to import it in. So all I've done is I've just imported that NIF. I'll take all of that stuff off. And you see there's a big size difference there. And you'll see I brought in the skeleton, everything like that. What I want to do is match the size as close as I can. So I'll take this, I'll parent everything to that, and then put it the right way round, get it as close as I can, and then just roughly what sort of size does it need to be. So I think around 60%, something like that. That feels about right. I mean, obviously they're very different, but this is just as a quick example. So once I've got that in place, it's then just a case of removing all the old ones from the deliverer, and then putting all the bits that need to go on the new gun to where they need to go. And there we go, that's all now rigged. What I normally do is I'll put sort of boxes to help with the animation for if things are going to be in a different place. So I've got a little function that will do that for me. And then just any bones I'm not using, I'll remove those out. So I've got the bolt, and I'm not using anything else here, but if I were to have other bits, that they could all be linked quite easily. The triggers there, and then I'll just parent those on here, and then that's ready for exporting. I normally just use the old, I don't use the main toolkit that that was sort of given. I use the old NifScope one. Have less issues with the smoothing and things. So I've already done this already, but I'll do an example. And there we go, that's exported. And that's it. So I've already created all of the textures and the materials that go with it. I've already got a file, and I've assigned all the materials to that. In the other version, I separated this out and I separated that out because they were all sort of part of the main grip mesh, and just put them on bones. That's why there's a couple more bones here. So at this point, this is a good file that you can use for animation, which is why I've called it animation, and you can also use it to sort of put together all the things you need to do for the NIF. So if we go back to the previous example from the Nexus, and I'll just rename some of these. And to be fair, you could use the same dummy parent. That wouldn't be a problem if you weren't changing things around. But I will be for this one, so I can't do that. And what I'll do is I'll open 2014. So here I'm just going to remove everything out that doesn't need to be there. And this behavior is fine in there, and because it's the test file, it's already got the weapon bolt in there as well, so that's all okay. And now all I'm going to do is take everything over and just move it into this file. I mean, obviously these would be on separate files. You put it on the actual barrel, but just for an example. Now you see that's gone way off. That's because this bone will be completely different to this one, I imagine. Yeah, it's the rotation. Oh, it's all of it. And there, now that's in the right place. That one was okay, so that's not a problem. Now the bolt's the only bit I'm not gonna pull through, but I'll probably add the rest just straight on here. I'll keep that open. And I'll do the same again. I'll just remove the bits out we don't want. And I'll put that in. And it wants to be on this node. Now if you wanted to add a sight or something, what you'd want to do is put a parent part into there, so not on that one, but how we've got the parent here, you'd want exactly the same on there, and then you could attach things to that and they will move with the slide. So I'm going to create a new slide for this, so it can be whatever you like, but to keep it really simple, just create a new folder, copy that existing folder and create a new folder. Now you don't actually need to do it for the main receiver, but it's already on there, so I may as well do that. And it's really important to do the parent as well and clear anything out of that. So to go about that, just go into unique behaviors, copy the whole thing, rename the folder. And you can leave all the rest of it. The only bit I'm going to change here is this. So I'll go back into 2014, and this is one I prepared earlier, and that's the deliverer. So what I want to do is I want to bring in what I've just been working on, and I'll take the whole animation folder in file and then bring that through. So what you need to do on this is parent everything to the bolt, and then parent the bolt to bullet 1, and then 0 everything out on that weapon bolt. So make sure you on move and parent and 0 all of that out, and the same for the rotation as well. Ah, that's already done. So that's all good. And you'll notice if you slide that along, that's not quite right. So then just go through and unparent everything. So that's all separate. So now it would just be the slide that goes back. And this is just to give you a visual. None of this mesh will actually come through, and I'm going to delete out some of those helper things that I put in because they're in the way. And you notice it's not in the right place, so I don't want that to be the sort of end point for it. I want it to be a bit further forward. So keyframe it. Make sure you're on that because that's the bone, and then put that where it needs to be. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's about right. So then I only want to, so obviously you've got 2 frames here. This is the idle position, this one here, and then this one's the bullet position, this one here. So you've got 2 frames for each. So I only want to export frames 1 and 2. And I need to find the file for this. So you could probably make your own one up, but I'll get one included. Right, and that's been created. So if I go to where that is, there we go, that's all done. So that's all you need to do with the unique behavior. Just clone it, this one that's the example one, and just change where you want the bolt to go. And then what you probably also want to do is take a note of how far it goes back, because what we'll do is we'll use that in the animation. So when you're on here, don't be on local, be on view, so we only go that far back. So I'm just going to notepad that. So that's all done with. A good idea to save it. And then what I normally do is open a template animation that has all the animations I want in it. And then I'll import my animation file. So that's the receiver. Just from where I extracted it, it doesn't link up to the weapon, so just put that link back. Select the parent, zero those out. Because this is pretty much already aligned to this animation, the helpers aren't really needed, but if everything wasn't aligned, it would be really helpful to have those in. So I'll just hide them out. And then it's a case of making it into the sort of right place, and I'm not going to spend lots of time on that. That feels way too high, but you get the general idea. I'll go to the file that I made earlier. And I've aligned it a little bit and set it to the reload animation. And what you'll notice is the bolt isn't moving in this, but that's because it's already set back. So the bolt is now controlled by two annotations. So what I like to do is actually move it in the animation itself, and this is where that number comes in really handy. So if I put that on, that's where it will be. And then when we click it, I'll then put it back. Don't know why the sound's not playing. That's 3ds Max for you. So I think all the annotations are already in this, so we can have a quick look at those. So that's the one to unlock it. So hopefully I've done that at 6.8. No, not quite. But that's fine. So when you get the initiate release, it will lock it back. So now it should, in game, look like this. And you've still got control over the bolt. It's just you've got to remember that the NIF will be controlling based on the annotations you've got in there, and that's the bit that will let it go throughout all the animations. So if it's gunned down or anything like that, because it's controlled in the model itself rather than the animation, it will just be like that until you send that other annotation to lock it back in place. So that should be all okay now. So I can just export that. And everyone knows, yeah, 48, so it doesn't go jittery. And then I'll do a run animation. And then a fire. And this is controlled by the bolt, the fire. So you see this, it slides back, but that's all being done by the bone. It's not being done by the NIF. I mean, you could do, but it just wouldn't look as good. And then the last one, you'll notice it doesn't. So all you have to do for the fire last is make sure the bolt doesn't move and make sure you've got the annotation. You're going to want to fire the annotation 3 times just to really make sure. So if I now go into this is all the files created. This one I already put all the annotations in, so that's all fine. I haven't done an idle either, better put that one in. So these are the other ones. I've got a little script that will just put the annotations in for me, but if I show you where the annotations come from, so my normal one is just single weapon fire, and then the last one we've got weapon fire, and then this is the bit that pulls it back, so fire back blend. Then I've got a sound for it, can be whatever sound you want it to be, and then I call it another couple of times just to really make sure it goes back. You can call it as many times as you like, and then it will lock it back. So if here's that last, if I just have a look at that. You notice I export it without anything. And then if I check the same file, oh actually I don't need to. Now it's got those in there. So that's most of the files. I need to put an idle in there as well. Oh, that's fine. That won't actually show in the animation. Any mesh changes you do, so anything based on that, it won't actually show in the animation, so that won't be a problem. But ideally I sort of set it only for the reload. Just for testing, I'll put those all in there. So this should be enough for testing purposes. Shouldn't need any more than that. In the next part, I'll cover the creation kit side of things.